Alors, salut tout le monde, c'est Link. On se retrouve aujourd'hui pour le troisième épisode de The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Alors, attendez, ça filme bien, on m'entend bien, oui. Euh, je viens de lancer le jeu. Et alors, faut savoir, quand on lance le jeu, on me demande de rentrer l'heure à chaque fois. Voilà, c'est un petit détail. Et après avoir rentré l'heure, on me dit... Attendez, attendez. Avant de commencer, est-ce que je peux te dire quelque chose? C'est d'avoir vraiment réglé l'heure et 2 fois vous avez lancé le jeu. Tant de gens ne prennent pas cette étape au sérieux et laissent l'heure régler sur 12 et basta. Mais vous avez pris le temps d'indiquer l'heure et je vous en suis reconnaissant. Je sais ainsi que vous vous souciez de votre expérience, votre attention est focalisée sur le jeu. D'ailleurs, je n'ai aucun moyen de vérifier si l'heure que vous avez entrée est correcte. Je vais vous dire, nous allons passer un marché. Puisque vous faites preuve de tellement de bonne volonté, la prochaine fois que vous lancerez le jeu et verrez cet écran, vous n'aurez qu'à saisir votre heure préférée. Allez-y, choisissez l'heure que vous voulez, même si ce n'est pas la bonne heure, vous l'avez bien mérité. Sur ce, je vous laisse accéder au jeu. Fuck ce jeu. Je... Voilà, n'importe quoi. Ah d'ailleurs, j'ai découvert quelque chose d'incroyable. Il y a un succès, mais c'est horrible. Genre, j'ai la flemme de le faire. Il y a un succès, c'est champion du monde de paramétrage. Placer tous les curseurs de réglage du menu sur tous les chiffres disponibles. Tous les curseurs de réglage du menu sur tous les chiffres disponibles. On en parle. Donc il faut que je les place sur tous les chiffres. Il y en a combien? Ok, il y a l'audio. Il y a sensi, l'opacité, ça. Oh my god. Ok. Bon, bah, on est parti. Donc voilà, c'était inattendu, c'était fun. Donc la prochaine fois, je choisirai mon heure préférée. Je
This is the story of a man named
m'en
Stanley.
fous. J'ai déjà vu. Ok. Heureux de vous revoir. Ah oui, parce il y avait un succès, il fallait quitter le jeu et le relancer. Donc ouais, vous savez à peu près quel est mon rythme de jeu pour l'instant. Bon.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Euh, sur quoi on part du coup? Pourquoi dès que je passe une porte, j'ai un freeze? Non, c'est bon. Euh... Ouais, sur quoi on part? Parce que j'ai pas vraiment de d'infos ou quoi que ce soit
When
sur quoi
Stanley
faire.
came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his
Bah,
left.
ouais, on va aller au niveau des bureaux du chef. Il y avait d'autres chemins possibles là-bas. Enfin, il y en avait un autre.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his
Ah, attendez,
boss's
on va
office,
retenter le placard à
hoping he
balai.
might find an answer there. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Ah, il doit y avoir des trucs que si on joue en une seule fois.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Parce que je pense qu'il aurait dit quelque chose de différent, mais... Est-ce que ça va enfin me traduire ça? Pas du tout, ça ne veut pas. Ah, mais attendez. J'ai le sentiment que l'argent est pour voler, mais pas le vôtre en tout cas. Donc ça, c'est une bourse charmante. Encore une fois, je pense que j'ai pas bien traduit. Ah, pourtant, je pense bien en anglais, mais là, je m'y perds. Donc, attendez, on va aller là. Ah mince, c'est fermé. Ah, tristesse. Non, attendez. J'ai pu l'ouvrir qu'une seule fois. Putain, ça doit pas s'ouvrir à chaque fois.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret
J'ai oublié
was being held from
c'était quoi le
him?
code, hein.
What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra
Ça se trouve, il change en
secret pin
plus.
number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't
J'ai fait
possibly
une
have
erreur.
known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Attendez. Non, je crois qu'il y avait un chemin caché. Il y avait... Il y avait un truc ici à un moment, il y avait un choix. Il me semble à la fin, il y avait
Descending
deux
deeper into
boutons.
the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
On peut remonter.
Whoops, nope, never mind. Stanley actually got back into the elevator and went back up. Silly me. Why did Stanley do that when he knew that it would just lead back to his boss's office? Well, that's a great question. I just can't wait to find out.
Ah, bah alors attendez. Est-ce qu'il va se passer quelque chose?
Here we are, Stanley. It's your boss's office. Exactly the way it was before you got onto the elevator. It's still just exactly what it is. What a decision you've made to come up here and look at the office again. This has fleshed out the plot of the story in new and fascinating ways I could have never anticipated. It's that keen eye for storytelling that you have, an incisive rapid fire of critical plot points, one after the other, weaving a rich tapestry of uncompromising narrative. Wow! I'm bolted to the edge of my seat.
Ok. Bon, on va reprendre l'ascenseur du coup.
Incredible. Now he's getting back into the elevator and going down again.
Alors, je
Ladies
pense...
and gentlemen, how does he keep coming up with all of this?
On va le refaire, on va reprendre l'ascenseur. Je pense qu'il y a moyen de lui faire péter un plomb. Ah, cool, ça nous ramène direct en bas.
This time Stanley will walk forward into the spooky corridor, won't he? Did you think we were going to go forward down the spooky corridor? No. It's time once again to go back up in the elevator. I can't even begin to grapple with what might be up there. Is it the boss's office again? Or what if it's the boss's office this time? The suspense is killing me.
Je m'en fous, ça n'apporte rien. Je pense que ça n'apporte juste rien. Mais c'est drôle. Au moins on le fait quoi. Au moins on pourra pas dire qu'on l'a pas fait. Ça m'a fait peur.
It's the boss's office. This absolutely changes everything for me. Give me a time out here for a minute while I process this.
Non, on va vraiment attendre une minute. Mais c'est du foutage de gueule. Mais ce jeu.
Okay,
Ah, c'était
I'm
pas une
ready.
minute.
I'm prepared to embrace this stunning revelation and to move forward with... No! No, wait! No! I need more time to process.
Ah putain. Moi je vais boire un coup, je vais faire comme le petit bonhomme là, je vais boire. Ah. Voilà, ça fait du bien. Pensez à vous hydrater, c'est important de s'hydrater. Bon, même si là il fait plus si chaud que ça, en tout cas vers chez moi il fait plus si chaud que ça.
All right. I have fully come to terms with it.
C'est sûr?
I have made space in my worldview for this astonishing new reality. As before, I turn to your expert eye for gripping narrative, Master Stanley. Of course, going back down in the elevator. How did I not anticipate it? I mean, sure, now it's obvious, but you have to understand that 30 seconds ago, this kind of thing had never been attempted before. I had no frame of reference to even anticipate it. That's just how revelatory Stanley's decision-making is. A breath of fresh air in a landscape of storytelling that has grown stale and repetitive.
On remonte. J'en ai rien à foutre, on va remonter. Ah, il dit rien? Attendez, on sait jamais avec ce jeu.
You know what? I've just thought of something. Hold on, let's stop for a moment. Don't you realize? It's the anticipation, Stanley. You and I, we have no way of knowing what will be at the top of this elevator. But the suspense, the agony of waiting and anticipating and having to guess, that's the real thrill. Oh, I simply don't want to let that feeling go. It's so precious, so fleeting. Why don't we take this elevator ride nice
Non,
and slow?
non, c'est le moment où je
There we
regrette.
go. Isn't this so much more exciting? You know, Stanley, it seems like nowadays the only thing that audiences want is to be shocked as loudly and frequently as possible.
Ah, va
They
te faire
want
foutre.
big, explosive moments flung right in their faces from the very moment that things get started. But where's the tension? Where's the trust in the audience to build a slow and nuanced appreciation for the story, the characters? Why aren't we given time to imagine the surprises? To have to think and to anticipate and then to marvel at the eventual reveal. This is storytelling, Stanley. What you and I are doing right now. This is the most exciting narrative to be developed in years. And it's really all because of you. You're the one who took this bold step of revisiting the exact same locations over and over. Truly, I mean it. This is unique and different. It's not like anything else out there. You see, I want stories that surprise me, Stanley. I want to have to think. I want to be engaged and not pandered to. We're being fed such unimaginative drivel all the time, and we all know it, which is why we're so starved for content that makes us feel sharp and vital and alive. That's why people like you so much, Stanley. Because you're not afraid to spit in the face of tradition. You're a role model, you know? People look up to you. Which is why... Oh, I didn't know when to spring this on you, but, well, I've gathered a little press conference for you.
What the
So that
fuck?
you can talk about your work and your storytelling and your life. Yes, I know you're not much for the public eye, but I thought it would especially mean a lot to the people who have been following you from the beginning. They really look up to you, Stanley. I don't know if you realize the impact you have on them. This is the kind of gesture that might leave a tremendous impact on them for the better.
Oh.
Oh good, we're here.
Ah, il se passe vraiment quelque chose. Et moi, j'y croyais plus à force. On peut...
Okay,
Ah.
the room where we're holding the press conference
Okay.
should be just around the corner here somewhere.
Ah. Ok. Alors. Bon, je suis content que ça ait vraiment fait quelque chose parce que là, je m'attendais à faire cet ascenseur à l'infini possible.
Ah, yes, here it is, just through this door. All right, are you ready? I've told them you're going to speak a little bit about the nature of surprise in storytelling and what it means to craft a truly unpredictable narrative. Oh, don't worry, you'll do great. Just be yourself and speak from the heart. I'm really proud of you, Stanley. Okay, it looks like they're ready for you. Go get 'em.
Ok, j'ai cru que c'était un code pour plus tard, mais... Attendez, on en parle? C'est users... Ok. Mais non, c'est le numéro de notre porte. Dans les bureaux. J'adore la façon dont tu vas dans les ascenseurs. Faut que tu montes les ascenseurs. Ok. Le mec... Le mec qui est arrivé avec une pizza. Ouais, merci, merci. Bon, voilà. C'était une fin. Vous savez, en fait, je comprends pas. Est-ce que c'est quoi mon but final dans ce jeu? Est-ce qu'il y a une vraie fin, moi?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Genre, quel est mon but final dans ce jeu? Waiting input. Input received. Ok. Alors, on a rentré un input. Nouveau contenu. Ah, mais on aime.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Mais en plus, ce qui me fait délirer, c'est que ça veut dire qu'il y a des choses qui sont random. Parce que la porte dans le bureau du chef, je pouvais l'ouvrir. La première fois qu'on y est allé, mais maintenant je peux plus. Je pense, et là, ça s'ouvre. Il y a ça qui est ouvert. Si ça se trouve, ça se serait pas ouvert. Si j'avais fait une autre fin. Enfin, ça se trouve, ça serait ouvert si j'avais fait une autre fin aussi. C'est genre, c'est random. Je pense que c'est un jeu dont on découvrira pas tous ses secrets. Hein.
And thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013.
Non, je savais pas. Enfin, je savais que c'était un
on
jeu déjà sorti, mais pas en 2013, non.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Waouh!
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Allez.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure. Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Je crois que ça va être long.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if them... oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Cercle pour sauter. Je vais pouvoir sauter dans ce cercle. Oh mon dieu. C'est n'importe quoi. Mais c'est ce jeu. Allez, on y arrive. Ah d'accord. Yes.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Ouais, c'est cool. Je peux sauter quoi.
Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Merci de profiter du nouveau contenu.
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it.
Oh,
In
ça
fact, I'm
balance,
looking
hein.
right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really
Mais
about.
Ultra Deluxe, ça ajoute
No
pas juste que
frills,
ça quand même.
no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Moi, je peux pas en parler. Mais attendez, ça rajoute pas que ça quand même, j'espère. Oh! What the fuck? Donc il y a vraiment le succès par contre de quoi il parlait. Sujet test à ignorer, machin. Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Mais il y a un chemin là aussi.
Oh, you don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a... Oh, never mind. You're not a dog.
Mais ouais, mais il y a trop de trucs. Il y a plein de routes et à chaque route il y a des chemins différents là. Fuck my life.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked
What
it
the
away here
fuck?
where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Zone des souvenirs.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
C'est stylé en vrai d'avoir fait ça. Du coup, je suis un peu triste de pas l'avoir connu à l'époque, le jeu. Stanley Parable. Il y a vraiment une édition comme ça? Waouh! Ah! Attendez, c'est pas du tout... Ils ont pas du tout le prix en fait, c'est ça? Let's begin again. Le remake original. What's everyone saying? Un retour sur le passé. Souriez parce que c'est arrivé. Ah, j'aime bien cette phrase. Ne soyez pas triste parce que c'est fini, souriez parce que c'est arrivé. Je l'aime beaucoup cette phrase. Go outside and play for 5 years. Unachievable, it is impossible to get this achievement. Alors attendez. Go outside, il y est. Va jouer dehors. Ne jouez pas à Stanley pendant 10 ans. Par contre, le truc de impossible d'avoir succès, je... Non, c'est pas. Sorti d'un nouveau jeu vidéo aujourd'hui, des créateurs incroyablement réalistes. C'est New York Times. Bon, je regarde un petit peu tout. Ah tiens, on a eu cette fin. In loving memory, little Stanley. C'est quoi comme animal? Je vois pas. On dirait un lapin peut-être? J'ai un petit doute. Oh mais attendez. C'est une chanson française?
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
C'est dommage que la musique soit arrêtée. Enfin, je pense pas que finir ici, ça allait l'arrêter. Ah, attendez. Il n'y a aucune mention à part celle-ci. Euh... Dear Esther. Apparemment, c'est un jeu qui sera à peu près comme ça. Mais Stanley Parable est un peu plutôt différent. What the fuck? En gros, il dit comment est-ce qu'on peut review un jeu comme Stanley Parable. Le décrire chacune des parties serait, ça le ruinerait quoi. Et donc voilà, il repose la question à la fin. Comment est-ce que tu en parles, comment tu l'analyses, comment tu le recommandes. C'est très simple, tu ne le fais pas. Voilà. Ok. C'est vrai que ce purée de menu, je continue de penser qu'il y a un truc caché dessus. Je pense qu'il y a quelque chose qu'on peut faire. Pourquoi il y a une maison en boost de Minecraft sous 2012? Oh my god, je suis de retour dans le passé là. Ok, je peux pas aller là. personne de l'année. Your number is 29. 29. Les gens jouent à des jeux pour ce qu'ils peuvent faire dedans. Et votre jeu est vraiment bon à leur faire savoir qu'ils ne peuvent rien faire. Littéralement rien.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Non, c'est... Il dit des choses un peu intéressantes quand même. Moi, je vais essayer de traduire un peu parce que je garde tout pour moi depuis tout à l'heure. J'ai toujours été quelqu'un qui a voulu prendre le mauvais chemin en premier dans les jeux. Quand je sens qu'un jeu est en train d'essayer de me faire prendre un chemin particulier, qui essaye de me faire fuir le côté gauche de la droite, ou de me faire charger en avant, je dois euh, satisfaire mon instinct d'aller contre ça, d'explorer, voir ce que le designer a mis de l'autre côté. Des fois, je trouve un one-up ou un collectable pour, ouais, pour mon choix intrépide. Des fois, mon exploration est juste récompensée par le poids écrasant de la déception de courir contre un mur invisible. Peu importe, que je trouve ou ne trouve pas mes actions. Enfin, mon action est une manifestation de mon désir d'indépendance, de faire mes propres choix. De faire mes propres choix avec un système qui limite sévèrement mes options et encourage certaines choix spécifiques. Mhm. Donc Stanley Parable a l'air vivant dans sa réaction à vos choix. J'utilise pas vraiment les bons mots, mais il y a des mots je connais pas la genre responsiveness, la traduction exacte, voilà. Et dans son désir de subvenir à vos expectations, expectations. Attends, expectation. Attends, c'est quoi la traduction de ce mot? Ex- Expectation. Mais je crois que c'est un vrai. Mon cerveau bug. Bref, vous avez compris. Et vous gardez en haleine. Oula. Euh... Ok, bon, il parle de films, enfin de... Ouais, enfin, il parle de films, quoi. Et de... Ouais, j'ai pas trop compris, mais... Bref, à la fin, il dit quelque chose de drôle. Et en gros, il dit que aller du mauvais côté n'a jamais été aussi bon. Ok. Désolé, c'était un peu long, mais c'est intéressant. Par contre, il m'a ouvert là, mais la salle sérieuse 2013. Bon, je vais là du coup.
These were simpler times, Stanley.
Ah,
But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
je vais laisser parler avant. Ah, ok. Et des fois, c'était bien avant. Pour certaines choses.
Wait,
Voilà.
hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Voilà.
Oh no. God no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious
Non, mais je voulais
remark.
tout lire,
I
moi.
suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Il y a tellement des reviews.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Attends, je vais lire vite fait. C'est vrai que les devs ils doivent passer par des trucs des fois, genre. Mais en fait, non, mais plein de gens, en fait, les créateurs, les personnes qui créent, quoi, en général, tout simplement. Ça peut être n'importe quoi, des films, des jeux, des gens qui dessinent, je sais pas quoi. Ça peut passer par tellement de choses. Et je pense que les reviews, c'est... Enfin, le regard des gens, en fait. Je pense que c'est un truc très lourd pour ces personnes-là.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Attendez. Mhm.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No, 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 no. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people, and if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an
Je vais pas le
interminable
passer.
monologue.
Ça va durer
And
très
it goes
longtemps,
something
mais...
like this.
On a combien de temps là?
Or what have you,
51 minutes.
by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, no, until 245.
C'est en rond là, non?
Of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime.
Il tourne en rond.
Can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't
Okay.
be just yet. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long rambling
Mais tu tournes en rond
monologue
surtout,
full of
mec.
unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly.
Oh my
You can
God.
tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are, or were, or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in fact, make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once. That you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first, I was leaning towards manifesto.
Oh my
but
God.
now I'm going to circle around and slap the treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. Ah. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless
Oh my
situations.
God.
All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto, treatise, manifesto, treatise.
Je pense que là c'est le moment où je dois appuyer parce qu'il va répéter infini.
Manifesto, treatise,
Oh bordel!
manifesto, treatise,
Je m'attendais pas à ce que ce
manifesto,
passage soit aussi long.
treatise, manifesto,
Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto.
treatise, manifesto,
Ouais, si je suis en train de péter un câble. Bon, je pense que là, je peux passer.
treatise.
Allez, ta gueule.
Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one
Je me
can
demande si on
change
peut
their
trouver la
rating in the
critique en
first
vrai.
place.
Je me demande si c'est des vrais. Je pense que c'est des vraies
Become
critiques.
better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit
Ah oui,
one
il a vraiment
review
que ça à foutre.
merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
Pourquoi ça écrit pas les sous-titres? Oh! Il dit rien? Il s'est stoppé. Je pense qu'il était en train. Je pense que j'ai eu un bug. Je crois qu'il était censé dire lire une review, mais il l'a pas fait.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say
C'est vraiment la
maybe
salle de plus en plus
30,
petite.
45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's...
Bah, il y avait pas la
well,
porte encore
there's
tout à
really
l'heure?
only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it, and wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go?
Ah.
Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was
On est
one
d'accord
here.
qu'elle a disparu.
How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window, or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button, to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave?
Ça marche
Please,
pas.
I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
Oh. Faut que j'appuie ou pas? Je pense qu'il faut que j'appuie, mais... Ah bordel! C'est... fou! Ouais.
Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stan. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch, and I have to believe. I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you?
Mais parce que je peux faire que ça.
And I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are. What would it ever really matter? But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken, if only it pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now, stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button, and to become frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone, and that I had the power to prevent it all from happening, if only I'd held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. Surely you will. I don't doubt it. Surely you'll press that button again.
Finalement, il y avait autre chose que je pouvais faire.
And surely you'll put your own desire to see what's next ahead of my need for company.
Putain, mais ta gueule!
Surely you'll not be moved by my howls of fitful anxiety that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh, no, 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 I know you too well. You'll be leaving me. Oh, my God. And it's all because of those reviews.
Il tourne en rond, c'est...
Those reviews that I couldn't get out.
Aïe.
Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time, that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us.
Je crois que ça fait 20 minutes qu'on est dans cette putain de salle.
In its unyielding quietness, I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here.
Putain, mais ta gueule!
I am someone. I am something.
Je suis quelqu'un de sympa qui écoute, mais...
I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored, and already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it, to think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
Ah.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year?
No.
Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment, and I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular
Oh my
outcome
God.
into being. I saw that I could allow myself to exist along all timelines, and that each of them was simply a strand in the web of my being. It was
J'ai besoin de...
incredible. The spaciousness, the equanimity of the moment, both singular and infinite. For the longest time, this was my experience. And then, this moment passed, and the most unyielding fear I have ever known crept into my mind. And it is this sensation that I have been experiencing now for longer than I could have ever expected was possible. I have been waiting for you. Not that you might save me or do something to fix it, but merely to state for you the plain fact of this manner of existence. I wish you to feel afraid as I do, that perhaps one day this state of mind will consume you as well. Perhaps you will somehow, in some way, have to live as I do now, and I wish for you to know how excruciating it is, and for you to be in true terror of its
Mais vous savez que
eventual
je fais le plot de la
arrival.
vidéo
If I
en
can
entier quand même.
only do this, only this one thing, perhaps it will bring me the smallest moment of peace in the darkness.
Ah. Dis rien. Détecteur à fumée qui pète un câble.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, "Entertain us." It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, "He's talking too much," they said. "First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world." As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, "Oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place," while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable.
Et bien
We
cinglé.
demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people.
Ah, ta
Because
gueule!
otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves. What a pitiful reflection of humanity these entertainments are. What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse. They're the ones who are mad. They're the ones who couldn't stand the idea of me using my game to try to say something. Maybe they were just jealous of me. Yes. Yes, of course.
Oui, bien sûr.
They've been jealous of me this whole time. They are mired in fear and insecurity.
Chez tout, hein, putain, s'il y en a qui se demandent.
Tear me down. What a sad state of affairs.
Ah, clic droit, ça fait avancer.
Reviews now, you can see it. You can taste the
J'apprends des
bitter
choses.
resentment. And my, how good does it feel now to speak truth to these words, to finally allow these thoughts out, contained and managed for so long, neutered and sterilized. At last I am free to truly think, to feel. It must be that they were so discontent with themselves, they couldn't help but leave a negative review on Steam. Perhaps
Ok, j'ai besoin de faire une pause. Ok, on y retourne.
it says far more about them than it ever said about me. Perhaps the state of their psychological being was in such tatters, and my constitution and willpower are so ironclad in comparison. Perhaps it was this state that they sought some outlet through which to tear me down. This, you can see, is clearly why they felt the need to expect that the game be funny, that it be filled with yucks and whimsical humor, that it amuse them endlessly from start to finish. But they didn't understand the game was never
Il y a un
meant to be
succès
funny.
pour
It was
écouter
meant
ce
to
mec
have a
jusqu'à la
point.
fin du
It
temps.
was meant to
Ou...
speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned. They screamed.
Ah, mais
They
il n'a pas déjà
gnashed
dit
their
ça.
teeth and said, "Entertain us." It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic.
Mais c'est bon,
little
il l'a dit ça déjà. Il tourne en rond. Ok. Encore une fois, il va rien dire.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
C'est le truc qu'il dit pendant les temps de chargement.
Is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is never the
Ah. Il y a une fuite. Ouais. Oh là! Bon, moi, il se passe des choses au bout d'un moment. Mais vaut tard que jamais, je suppose. Et non, mais c'est Portal, là, ça y est, de la végétation et tout. C'est très joli. Ah. C'est très triste. Désolation. C'est un peu flippant même. Ça fait peur! Ah, ça se transforme en jeu d'horreur, j'aime pas. Oh là. Quoi? Attendez, le bouton, il est... C'est bon. The fuck? Et je vais où? Je fais quoi? On sait pas à quoi s'attendre avec ce jeu, c'est incroyable. Ça y est? Ah,
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
oh, c'est fini. Oh, bordel. Je... Waouh. J'en peux plus. Ça m'a... Oh là là. Mais quel épisode de merde. Ah, mais vraiment, je le pense vraiment là. Oh putain, quel épisode nul à chier. On est... Quoi? Je pense on a fait deux fins déjà. Je pense que 40 minutes, c'était 45 minutes, 50 minutes peut-être même. Non, attendez, l'épisode, on a une heure et quelques là.
No matter how hard Stanley looked,
Ouais,
he couldn't
c'est
find a
en vrai
trace
40
of his
minutes d'épisode, je pense
co-workers.
qu'ils ont été dans cette putain de salle. Non, peut-être 30 minutes. 40 minutes sur cette fin et 30 minutes dans cette fucking salle. Bref, on va cesser ça parce que moi je peux plus. Tu vois, parce qu'à la base, quand j'ai lancé le jeu, je me suis dit, je vais faire un petit épisode, 30 minutes. Une heure. Une heure. Oh là là. C'était de la merde. Du coup, ouais, on va cesser ça pour cet épisode. J'espère qu'il vous aura plu. Ah, malgré tout ça, quoi. C'est le cas, n'hésitez pas à mettre un j'aime, à vous abonner si ce n'est pas déjà fait, et à mettre un commentaire. Et on se retrouve pour le prochain épisode. Allez, salut tout le monde. Bye bye.